saying and your sentiments there from all of the panelists, and you're absolutely right. Before we go into this next question, that part about generational work, ooh, that's so powerful. Listen to me, our ancestors paved the way and fought literally to the bloody death. Our elders are tired. So we talk about this intergenerational work, we gotta keep going. Like while we do have these victories, we still have so much far ahead. And I think that's from the ancestors to work intergenerationally, okay? That's our thing. And it's important to uplift that and see that as a mutual and collective ujima responsibility and how we forge ahead. So thank you for uplifting that. Shifting a little bit in the conversation, so I could not come to Essence and not talk about the status of Black maternal health, okay? So even with, just in the spirit of transparency, even with my own reproductive health, I have fibroids, my mama had fibroids, my grandma had fibroids. It makes no sense that just because I am Black, I am automatically predispositioned to have fibroids and other reproductive health issues because of my adjacency and proximity to pollution. But that's not just my battle. Black mothers and infants are harmed by climate change at a much higher rate than any other population. With regard to climate change in particular, Black maternal health, for example, a 2017 study found that for every 10 degrees increase in temperature, this is in California, but we know that this is mirrored in many other communities, there is an average increase in preterm delivery, meaning having your baby prematurely before time, of 8.6%, but for Black women, that increase is almost 15%. Now we said 8.6%, right? But merely by being a Black woman is an increase at almost 15%. I want us to put that into perspective. In addition to climate change, we couldn't be Black millennials so funny when we talk about lead poisoning, right? So lead poisoning in 2023 still poses a threat to all people, but specifically to pregnant people, largely Black women. We learned that from Flint, Michigan, but it's Flint, Michigan is all across this country. Black wombs, our very first environment, are under attack, y'all, okay? So to all of the panelists, as Black women in environmental justice leadership, how are you working to uplift Black women at the core of environmental justice advocacy? And what advice do you have for women here today to become stronger advocates as it relates to our bodies at the intersection of environmental justice? So we can start with these and keep it going with all these fantastic, beautiful Black women.
Okay. I am also the founder and executive director of Next Step Up, which is a nonprofit in Tuskegee, Alabama that basically helps high school students get to their next step. We provide mentoring and tutoring. We expose students to college and career opportunities such that they're empowered to pursue the future that they dream for themselves. And I don't presume that everyone in the audience is an environmentalist by trade or by that is what you do for your profession. But I do presume that everyone in this audience knows something. And I think mentorship is very critical for ensuring that the next generation of people are supported in doing what it is that they want to do. Environmental justice literally penetrates every aspect of our society. It is in architecture and building. It is in civic and civil engineering. It is in agriculture. It is in education. It is in every facet of our society that we must think about how do we produce more just outcomes? How do we ensure that the externalities of what we're doing do not negatively impact and affect people? And so through Next Step Up, through running this mentoring and tutoring organization, which I've done for the past 13 years, we challenge students to critically think. One, we challenge them to critically think about themselves and their lives and what they really want for themselves beyond what they've seen before. But then we also challenge them to think about worldviews that are respectful of all people. And I think that as we utilize our own expertise and we take other people under our wing, such that they can have their desires and passions nurtured and cultivated, that is one way that we can further environmental justice. The second thing I say is that we've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from this panel so far, and each one can teach one. We can take the information that we've learned from this panel and talk to our aunts and our uncles, our cousins, our mothers, our brothers and sisters about this panel so that other people are aware of environmental injustices and can see them and spot them as they exist.
I think we have to talk. We have to do a better job of holding these conversations and recognizing that when we talk about Black maternal health, we are not stereotyping into what American society is telling us about the control of our bodies and what Black women's bodies and all bodies are supposed to do, but we are tapping into survival and resilience of people, specifically Black women. Think about this. A group of people who left one ecosystem on a continent and were transported across borders into a completely different ecosystem. Plants, animals, germs, everything. And then were forced in this new ecosystem to work with people from a completely different continent and ecosystem in a very traumatic way. Yet, they were still able to give birth and did so. And did so with the thought of seed, because there are stories of women from West Africa who planted seed into their hair so that they would be able to grow and sustain and nurture their offspring. So even not knowing where they were going to go, they were thinking about how to care for the next generation. And so in our bodies actually flows the blood of resiliency. And in this blood of resiliency, and taking care of our bodies and the bodies of the people that we are bringing into this world, recognizing that that environment is now under attack. You don't need to pull out your woman king type warrior mode at this point, because that is the way that we have to think about it. And it's not only giving birth, it is every aspect of our bodies, going through the cycle of puberty, knowing that our young women who are experiencing puberty in a different way because of the pollution that they are around, seeing the onset of puberty and how their bodies are coming into womanhood simply because of the air that they breathe and the water that they drink. Or for those of you in the room that are in my age group and we're transitioning into that senior part of our life, we hot all the time, not just because it's hot in July in New Orleans, but also to recognize that that process of our life is changing because of the environment that we're in and what we're breathing and what we're eating and what we're drinking. And so there are so many places within the care of our body as Black women that we have to take into account what the environment is doing and how it is impacting and what tools and resources we need to be thinking about, but also talking and sharing with each other in order to ensure that we maintain our health and stability of communities and generations to come. As I've been working in the space of petrochemicals, and if you don't know what a petrochemical is exactly what it is. It says it is a fuel and chemical. That's what the majority of plastics are made out of, is petrochemicals. It's the ethylene oxide that you saw blew up when we saw the big East Palestine train derailment. It's that stuff, right? Would you believe though now that that is what we're seeing in children, giving birth to them? There are plastics now in our bodies, so much so that not only do we ingest it, but we are literally giving birth to babies that have plastic in them already. I call it giving birth to garbage. Because that is how inundated these things have come into our system. But we don't attach what we do every single day and what the industry does to try to convince us that it's okay. And it's not okay. And it impacts every single thing that we do. So again, I encourage and push folks to action items. It's great for us to talk about it. It's wonderful to be in Essence. It's great to go and have fun at the concerts and get all of the wonderful beauty products that I'm sure we have collected from over at the convention center. But when we leave, what is on your Instagram post other than the new bottle of whatever you just got? How are we talking about pushing these actual companies to change the way that they are doing and conducting the business, such that it does not harm us, to help us as they are telling us to? I know I'm going to have to step on some toes responses, but it's okay. It's okay. We have to use these platforms as the mechanisms to shift the industrial focus to recognize we expect fully to be taken care of because we, as you just said, birthed it in the first place. So, I don't know about you, but that's the charge that I'm hopeful that we leave with, and that's how we continue to take care of not only our maternal health, but then be catalysts and leaders for all maternal health that happens on this planet.
Preach, girl. Okay. So I have a policy answer, I have an organizational answer, and I have a personal answer. The policy answer is, when I joined the Department of Energy, I had this background in energy justice, so I knew the literature, I knew where we needed to make an impact, and we came up with 7 policy priorities. The first 2 I think are really relevant to our discussion. So we know that based on our own research at the Department of Energy that 1 in 3 households experiences energy insecurity. So I'm seeing some nodding heads here. So energy insecurity is, opening that fridge in the middle of the summer because you want that fresh air. You want a little bit of coolness. It's using a pot on the stove in the winter because you want a little hot water. These are things I grew up with. Energy insecurity. It's invisible. It impacts 1 in 3 households. When we talk about the Black community in particular, 52% of Black households is experiencing energy insecurity. So that's making the choice between whether to heat or cool your home or to eat. This is due to a lot of reasons, right? The housing stock in Black communities, income levels, etc. The structure and design of our rates in this country. So one of our key policy priorities at DOE is to make sure our programs are addressing energy burden and energy insecurity. So how are they actually reducing the overall cost of energy by providing more access to clean energy? And we're getting those receipts, right? We're having our grantees report back to us on how their grant dollars are reducing energy burden. That impacts the Black household, that impacts women, it impacts mothers. I mean, there's sort of a staggered effect in the Black community, and I think that's one way I address your question. We don't specifically address Black mothers through our programs, but it's obvious that that policy priority would have an impact. The second key policy priority is around reducing exposure to environmental hazards and harm. So to what you were saying there, I mean, we have to make sure that what we do does not exacerbate harm. And if we're good, we're actually reducing exposure to environmental hazards and harms. And we are now requiring our grantees to report back on how they're doing that. So those are the tools we have in our toolkit, in our arsenal, to actually move the needle on environmental justice. And we know that that does have a ripple effect to Black women. But organizationally, so those are my policy answers, but organizationally, if you look at my organization, we have the most diverse organization in the building. We are bringing in PhDs, master's students, folks who have gone through HBCUs, our minority serving institutions, who are women of color, people of color, and we are mentoring those folks so that they also can go out and do the work. They spend some time with us and then go out and do whatever they need to do. But I'm committed to mentoring and nurturing Black women in my organization, and I stand behind that commitment. Obviously, with our mandate and our ability to impact the entire department, we're also ensuring that other folks are not coming up with the excuse, so I can't find anybody. we're making sure that they also are hiring diverse candidates in their work. But the personal response, and you asked how I'm taking care of Black women, I'm resting. And demanding that people see me resting. Because my first year and a half in this job, I was working 12, 18 hour days regularly. 2 or 3 shifts, right? You know, you're just like nonstop. My partner is bringing dinner to me, lunch, breakfast, dinner, exchanging the plates. I'm sitting down. That had such an impact on my home. And in my mind, at the end of this period, I thought, oh my gosh, either they think I'm superhuman or they think I'm subhuman. So either response, right, isn't satisfactory. So I now rest, and I'm not going to let that work and the volume and the ambition of this role push me out, because someone else will do the work and continue to burn, burn, burn. We have to show how we rest, and then we have to distribute that work to our white colleagues. So